Hey, everybody. It's Friday. It is Friday indeed. Whew. Welcome. I'm Carolyn with Swan City Yarns, and I'm here. I'm ready. I've actually been ready. I've had a couple extra minutes today. I've been sitting here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for y'all. How is everybody? Whew. I hope you're doing good. I hope you've had a good week. I don't know about y'all, but it has been hot here in Florida. I mean, that's summer, just hot. I went for a walk this morning at I think it was 7:30 when I left. Yeah, and it was already road hell. So that's the only time I'll exercise outside now. It's first thing in the morning this time of year because it's just too much, All right. Hey, Laura and Katrin. Hi, Ann and Deborah Sue. I'm glad y'all are here. Hey, Teresa. Lunch is almost over. I know. Well, I'm glad you were here for a few minutes anyway. I appreciate it. And hey, Tish, only 81, but very overcast. Whew, I don't know. 81 is pretty high too. I don't know. I would take 81. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. It's Florida. It's hot. So, do y'all see? Dun, dun, dun. I finished my ranunculus as promised. I did the half sleeve, came out very nice. I'm very pleased with it. Came out exactly the right length. And then I did it super cropped for this very reason. So this is one of the dresses that I want to wear it with. And I'm wearing a belt with it because when I ordered it online and I ordered a size too big and I didn't feel like returning it. And I was like, how can I make this work? So put a belt and then a crop top and there you go. And it's definitely cropped. So I will always be wearing this over something. So, and I did not bring my extra yarn in. I used, as y'all know, so I used sprinkles on fluffy lace and swan white on swanky sock. And I did not even use a full skein of the sprinkles on fluffy lace, that's 437 yards. I thought I was going to need 2 and I don't. So I only needed 1. So yeah, and I love it. I told y'all my boo-boo last week, I realized, I was knitting with a 10.75 needle instead of a 10, but I never noticed it even when I tried it on. And I don't know, maybe my gauge maybe my tension is tighter when I'm knitting. I don't know. I did also use the cubics, the square needles from Dip Pro. So, that can impact your gauge there. But I love the size. I love everything about it. And then for the rib sections, I went down to a size 9 needle. So yeah, so I finished that earlier this week and I'm moving on to other projects, which I'll show you later. Hey, Diane, I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I think it goes well definitely with this dress, which is one of the main reasons I wanted it. And then the other dress I have is a long black. Just straight comfy dress. And I figure, but it's straight. And so I figure wearing this will kind of give it some maybe look of a waistline shaping. I don't know. I haven't actually tried it yet. So we'll see. We shall see if that actually happens. So, all right, let's see what's been going on. Last week was Knit and Stitch Boutique and awesome trunk show there. It's always fun to see established friends, and then I even met new ones and had some new ones in class, and so that's always fun. And late in the day, I knew there's one of the customers who comes in is an owner of a little used bookstore that's literally right around the corner from Knit and Stitch. It's called Hello Again Books, and I'd been wanting to go in there, and they were open until 5. So at the very last minute, I ran over and I picked up some goodies. I thought y'all might want to see what I got. So the first one that I found was this book by Jane Ann Krentz. She actually has a couple of pen names, Jane something else, I don't remember. And then also Amanda Quick. And Amanda Quick, that pen name, she does historical romance novels. I don't know if she still writes under that pen name or not. I haven't seen anything recently, but I don't actively look. But then this one, she tends to write. So these are definite. She's a romance novel writer. And this one, she does a lot of like, her characters have these woo-woo psychic abilities, which it does nothing for me, but she's a good writer. And so I always know that I'll enjoy her books. So if it's a new one that I haven't read, I'm usually will grab it. And then I also got this one by Sandra Brown, Thick as Thieves. She's another one that I guess she would be considered a fiction writer, but most of her books have some sort of like a mystery element to it. Some unsolved mystery or something like that. Sometimes maybe a tiny bit of a thriller, but not bad because I don't do thriller. And there's always a love interest of some sort as well. So, and again, just an amazing writer. I don't even have to read the back cover to know that I'll read it. I usually will read it to make sure it's not one I've already read. But other than that, I know I'm going to like it. So, hey, Billy, I'm glad you're here. And then the last book that I got is called Shylock is My Name by Howard Jacobson. So this one I mostly got from Morgan because it's a modern retelling of The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare. And Morgan is the Shakespeare reader in this family. I'm not a big Shakespeare fan. Now this one is considered, The Merchant of Venice is considered one of his comedies, but I was reading up on it because I couldn't remember if Morgan had read The Merchant of Venice. And so I was telling her about it. And apparently the book is more known for the dramatic speeches that are made, but it does have a sort of like a happy ending. And is that why it's considered one of his comedies? I don't know. I guess if there's not a bunch of killing and murdering, it's considered a comedy. I don't know. But anyway, I also found this because they have a bunch of cool things in there. I love this weathered aged fabric on there. I think I'm going to turn this into a notions pouch for sure. And then I also got, I don't know if y'all know me, but I have a thing for little notepads and office supplies in general. So I found this. They had a bunch of these. I say a bunch. They had, multiples of them. And so it's basically just a little tiny notebook. And I love it. It's a little small. I always have a notebook in my purse for writing notes or, things that I need if I'm out and about and I want to write something down. So I always carry a notebook in my purse. This is a little bit small. I thought it would be cool to, at the end of every day, like keep it beside the bed, and at the end of every day write, I don't know, one thing. Or I could do the high-low buffalo. Morgan was reminding me of that, where you do your high, your low, and I guess buffalo is something crazy. That was new to me. Or just something off maybe. Anyway, but honestly, I don't know if I would keep up with that, even if it's right beside my bed, because usually by the time I am crawling into bed, I just want to read for a few minutes before I zonk out. So I don't know if I would keep that up. So, but I will find a use for this, I assure you, because I just love it so much. So anyway, those were my purchases in like 5 minutes, in and out. But it's a great shop. So if you're ever over at Knit and Stitch and Coco, then you need to go see Hello Again Books too, for sure. Because it's awesome. All right. So how's everybody doing on your fiber challenge for July? There haven't been as many sock knitters this time around. I did finally start my July socks, which I'll show you in a little bit. So I'm proud of that. Also, I did want to go ahead and give you all a heads up on what August fiber challenge is. So, and before I do that, I don't know if I don't know that it needs to be said, but I got an email, which I haven't had a chance to respond to, and it just got me thinking about different things about posting. And so just in case it needs to be said, I just want you all to know there's never any pressure, as far, at least not from me, or expectations. Obviously, I love to see your projects. The whole point of the fiber challenges is just to hopefully inspire you and give us, sorry, my notes are falling, give us some, common to work on. And there's no race, there's no, like I said, no real expectation. And you don't even have to use Swan City yarns to do your project. So it's just, yeah, it's just fun. And of course, I love it when you show your Swan City yarns projects as well. But yeah, so don't ever feel like you have to, finish your project. You can pull out whips for the most part. Unless that, is mentioned in the rules that, oh, you can't use whips, but so far, I don't think that's even been a rule that I've had. So you can pull out whips, you can, start new, and you don't have to finish. So whatever, it's not meant to be pressure, to put pressure on you or anything like that. So having said that, August is going to be all about tantalizing texture. So the idea is any project that has texture to it. So beyond like stockinette and garter stitch. So anything that has lace, brioche, cables, what else? Seed stitch, moss stitch, anything like that provides texture. So you even something like, I would think visual texture, like double knitting or duplicate stitches. That's what I was thinking of, but double knitting as well. So because that provides texture and interest. So anything like that. So if you think about any whips that you have that you're wanting to finish up, you can pull those out. Or if there's a project you've been thinking you want to start on. I think I already know what I want to do. I've been wanting to take another go at brioche, but I need a small project. It's not something that I want to invest a lot of time on. So I found a pattern, which I will post at some point, for a brioche, what are these things? Mug rug, a brioche mug rug. So literally like a square. And I thought, oh, that's perfect because it'll let me get my feet wet a tiny bit, but not really invest a ton of time. So see, you can totally do something like that too. So, and, obviously you can work these types of things into any project. If you're a sock knitter, if you have some lace socks that you've been working on or you want to work on or something like that. So anything like that. So Angie, I started a pair with the July color. I'll post it later. Oh, very nice. I love that. So, Valera, daughter of Faye Verona, continues the Romeo and Juliet story. Now that's interesting. I'll have to tell Morgan about that. Because I don't like the ending of Romeo and Juliet. Diane, I also, yes. Yeah, see, yes, I know. It's like, yeah, I think it might be a thing that we crafters like. We like those tools that help us to organize and, I think it's a part of the whole thing. Oh, Fair, not Faye. I'm sorry. So daughter of Fair. Okay, daughter of Fair Verona. Let me write that down because I will forget. Daughter of Fair Verona. I love anytime there's a modern retelling of the older classics, or like that, a continuation. Those, I don't know why. They just do it for me. Especially some of my absolute favorites are like the modern retellings of Jane Austen books. Family Fortune by Laurie Horowitz is a retelling of Persuasion, probably my all-time favorite modern version of something right there. But yeah, all of those are good. So you can hit me up with those suggestions anytime. All right, moving on. So let's talk about, speaking of projects, let's look at what y'all are doing. Oh, Tish, making slow progress on my interstellar shorties. Yeah, quite frankly, I am too. And I don't know why, because it's a fast knit, like, doing the two. But I think for some reason I keep maybe setting it aside for other things. Could be it. I've always said if you want to make progress on something, just knit on it. That's more advice for me than anybody. Okay, so I wanted to show you all this. Last week at Knit and Stitch, Heidi and Karen always come in. They're amazing ladies who frequent the Knit and Stitch boutique store. And this is Karen knitting with Under the Mistletoe on, I think, Trusty Sock there. And she's doing her usual, I think I've told you all this before. She has a shirt pattern that is her own pattern. And so she uses it, and she just has all these different tops in different colors. And because of the different colors that she uses, every one that I've seen looks totally different and amazing. So that was awesome to see. And so that was Karen. And then Heidi came in and showed me this weaving that she had done. How gorgeous is that? She's got melts in your mouth in there. That was the M&M's colorway. So for y'all that are in Dying to Knit, you can see how some of that look. It is just amazing. And she did this. I asked her, I said, so is that like a table runner? And she said, no, I'm going to make smaller projects out of it. She had made the shop owner a little pouch out of it, and she's going to make other projects, which is just, I just absolutely love that look. I wish that I had time and the inclination to get into weaving, because I absolutely love that look right there. I just think it's stunning. And to have bags and other things that made out of that is just, gorgeous, gorgeous. All right. And then Bobby, she's doing 3 different pairs of the Interstellar shorties for Christmas gifting. And she's done the first sock of each pair, which I can totally relate to that. She's using peppermint bark as the main color. And then on the left, she's got holly jolly as the contrast. And then she said bottle green, but I think that looks more like sourpuss. I could be wrong. You never know. We could both be wrong. And then she's using a stash pink on the right. Those are awesome. I absolutely love them. And then this is from Knock. She recently bought the Star Spangled sock set, which has, you can see she's using Anchors Away is the blue that's in the cuff. And then Red Letter Day is the red that's on the heel. And of course, those are also in the pattern as well, with the main colorway, which is Star Spangled. So that looks so good. She's knitting these for her husband, by the way. That's why they look so long. But they look awesome. And then Sue, this is the Slight sock pattern that she's knitting with Candy Cane. And I love this pattern because I love that folded over hem look. I've only done that like once, just because you're basically knitting your you're knitting your hem twice, and then or that cuff twice, because then you fold it over. And I don't know why, but psychologically, like, that's a thing. I don't apparently, because I've only done it the one time, even though I love the look of it. So anyway, all right, let's see, where are we at here? Okay, so what have I been up to? Well, what did I do with them? Oh, here they are. So here's the Interstellar. They're not shorties here, because Bo likes his, I've told y'all he wants a full sock. So I managed to finish the shadow wrap heel for him. And I don't know if you can tell on the back here, obviously I did a couple stitches where I was holding the wrong yarn and knit with it, but I don't care. Unfortunately, Bo is not that particular. He doesn't care either. So I'm on to the foot part of the first one. And then I was going to make a sister sock, alternate the colors, but Bo said he doesn't think he wants that. So we'll probably have a second sock that is exactly the same. I'm just kidding. It'll still be awesome. And then I also cast on, this was just yesterday that I cast this on. These are, I'm back to it. Oops, hang on. The Striped Step Socks by Stephen West. Okay, so here's what I decided to do. I couldn't figure out what colors I wanted to use. I knew I wanted it to be Christmassy, right? These are my Christmas in July socks, but I just didn't know what to do. So, and I had taken one of the Under the Mistletoe mini sets for myself. So I decide, and I knew I wanted Under the Mistletoe. And of course I love velveteen, but in the mini set, you don't get enough for a whole sock. So what I decided to do is I had some leftover executive producer from Bo's Musselburgh hat, right? So I decided that this would be my main color. However, I was looking at the yardage and he has what he has written for my size. I think I might be cutting it just a little bit close on this because I weighed it and figured out how much yardage I probably have left in here. And I think I need 225 yards of the main color. So I was like, well, I think what I'll do is I will use this as the main color, but to offset some of the yardage, I'm going to do the cuff, and I did do the cuff in velveteen and possibly the heel, definitely the toe. And then for the body of the sock, executive producer is the main color. And then Under the Mistletoe is the contrast color. So, and who knows, maybe I'll pick a different green or something if a wildhair hits me in the meantime and alternate that instead of the velveteen, either on the other sock or even on this sock. I don't know. We'll see. Like mossy or what's the other mirror comes with. But both of those colors just happen to be an executive producer. So by the way, if you're looking for a colorway to go with Under the Mistletoe and you're not a big red fan, executive producer is right on it. So, which I didn't even think about before until I was going through my stuff. And so I don't know if y'all remember the Striped Step socks. He basically has you knit the cuff and then you put half of the stitches on hold, which I got to find my other end stopper. I didn't know where it's at. I'm usually more organized than this. So when I opened up the little front pouch and got my end stopper out, I was like, where's the other end stopper? Who knows? It's probably sitting on my table out there underneath some yarn that I haven't put away yet. Some leftover yarn from projects that I haven't put away. And it's probably sitting on the end of one of these little Chowgu Shorty needles, which is why, it's probably why I had to buy another size 1 needle and cable recently. Because I've apparently because I don't have that many whips going on. I should have no problem finding these. I don't know. Anyway, I'll find it. If not, I have a whole nother set. I actually do have 2 of the shorty sets. And yeah, so if not, there's another end stopper in there. Or I'm sure I can just get another end stopper. Anyway. So that was one project that I cast on. The other one is, I told you all about this last week, and I have finally done it. I cast on the Stockholm Slipover V-neck version. Now, here's the thing. So I figured out the yardage, and according to the pattern, I was going to need like 3 skeins. And I'm like, this just doesn't make sense because, and it's not a big deal, except I'm using Under the Mistletoe, which, you know, this type of, unless you don't mind some pooling and things like that, Under the Mistletoe is you need to manage your yarn. So, and because this pattern has back and forth flat knitting, and then you join it in the round. So obviously you got to manage your yarn. So I was thinking I would start with all 3 skeins, but then I got to thinking, based on the amount of yardage that I used in my O neck slip over and in the broom sweater. Now, granted, the broom sweater, I made it short sleeved and not as loose, but still, I didn't come anywhere near 3 skeins of yarn. So I don't know. I'm decided to just go with 2 skeins. If I have to add a 3rd skein later, I'll worry about it then. But this is where I'm at. So far, this is the back. Basically, I cast it on. So I obviously have a long ways to go. But so what I'm doing with this, you can see I've got both strands coming off, and I'm basically, so right now I'm knitting down and back with one strand, and then I take the other and I'm just carrying them up the sides as I go. So we'll see how it goes. I'm loving the look of it so far, honestly. I have to tell you, I was a little, when I cast on the other night, Morgan came out and I was just kind of, at that time, I was kind of second guessing my yarn choice. I was like, I don't know how practical this is. It being, it being sleeveless, like a vest, it was like, I need to wear a shirt underneath it, but this, I don't know. And you all know I like my white shirts underneath it. And if white doesn't go, then I'm gonna have to pick another color to wear. And plus this fuzzy yarn picking up stitches, which I'm gonna have to do. I was like, I don't know, did I make a mistake? And then Morgan was looking at it and she said, no, you can totally wear white with that. And she said, I think you made a good choice. So she made me feel better about it. She's good at that. She also reminded me today when she saw my finished ranunculus, because I hadn't shown it to her. She was like, oh, yeah, we talked about that. Apparently, and I totally had forgotten this, it was her idea to make it shorter and to make it a half sleeve. I'll just have to start letting Morgan manage my knitting, apparently. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I've got 3 active whips. That's all I can handle anymore, and I might bust out with sweat from anxiety. Can't handle that. So that's what we're working with right now. So yeah, thank you. Doesn't everyone have more than or 2 sets? Yeah, because if you're a sock knitter, you're going to have your standard needle size, right? I use size 1, and 2 sets of the needles are not always enough, because either like with something like this where you've got to, hold your yarn and things like that. Plus you need extra cables. Yeah. Okay. See, shouldn't feel bad about that. For sure. All right. What else? Okay. We are to the part of the show where I show you the new yarns. And I have to say this, I realized, so I did a live in the Dying to Knit group earlier this week, and I was lamenting to them that it's Tuesday, and I don't even know what for sure I'm releasing as this colorway at the end of the week, because I had multiple practice pots going on. It felt like I'd been working on it forever, but I think I was just kind of very, it was Tuesday morning. I don't know why, but I was like wiped emotionally and creatively. Like I just couldn't seem to process. Maybe I needed more rest. I don't know. I'm wondering if I should have even done a live. Y'all probably thought she looks half dead. I don't know what's going on with her. Anyway, once the dust had settled and I was able to look at what I had done, I actually am so pleased with this. So this colorway is called Santa's Acid Trip because it is super bright. And it actually came about because of a color scheme that ChatGPT came up with, actually. But I realized, and this is the problem with AI, is that the color scheme, it kind of had this translucent effect. And so, which I struggled to get that to translate to yarn. And I think that was the issue, was that I had that in my mind and I was struggling to get it. But when all was said and done, y'all, look at this colorway. And that's not true, honey. I knew. See, y'all, I worked. So last Saturday we had a trunk show. And then Sunday I had maybe messed up. I might have someone may have placed an order Friday night. And then on Saturday, I may have forgot to pull the order and sold their order. Obviously, I needed to dye that yarn. And I was like, I can dye it and it'll ship out Monday, no problem. They never even have to know, right? This is the benefit of having a dye studio right here. Well, because I was dyeing that and I knew I had a couple of, I've got, not anymore, but at the beginning of last week, I had 3 wholesale orders queued up needing to get out. The Coordinating Cousins pre-order. And I needed to restock Christmas colorways for this weekend's trunk show. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a lot. So I ended up working Sunday and I dyed yarn. I dyed more than that order that I needed to get dyed up. Anyway, that's not true. I have the trunk show this weekend and I have a wholesale order that has to go out, but I will be taking some time off. And next weekend, I will be taking off Saturday and Sunday. That is the plan. Morgan and I have already discussed it. We're going to get pedicures. Like, I'm taking time off. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, here it is, y'all. This is it. So you can see it's got, let's see. So basically how I dyed it, you can see like this. And this is one of the things that I'll talk about in my class tomorrow, working with hand-dyed yarns, looking at how your dyes are laid out. So you can see that there are distinct color repeats here. So if you're a sock knitter like me, then what an amazing pair of socks this would make. Do that faux self-striping thing that we like to talk about. You'll definitely get that. And then in a bigger project, you will obviously have the potential, if you like color pooling and color flashing and all that, then there's the potential for that. And if not, then you need to manage your yarns. You can alternate strands. You can use other methods that, again, we'll talk about in the class about ways that you can break that up if you don't like the color pooling and the color flashing. But I was really pleased because I really like the way these colors all go together. They're just really nice and they flow well together. You see that green with that red. It just looks good. I may have walked into the bow we was working this week. I may have said, I am a color genius. Because like I said, once the dust had settled, I realized this is a good colorway. I love this. So this is called Santa's Acid Trip. It has the pink in it, you see, and then where the pink and the blue came together, there's some definite purple going on. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then you've got your distinct sections of red and green. So, just a fun Christmas colorway. I have a feeling I might have to take this out and do it on the skein twister. But for now, we'll see. I used to do all of these this way. Oof. Oh, that's not too bad. Look at that. Would you look at that? It's almost like I knew what I was doing once upon a time. So here we go. There it is. All right. So that is Santa's Acid Trip. It currently is on all the merino bases. So you've got Trusty Sock, Silky Sock, Swanky Sock, and Trusty DK, Swanky DK. I don't have it on Sparkly. Like I said, it was Tuesday and I was like, I don't know, is it going to be the colorway or not? And then once I decided it was, then I needed to get it dyed up. And I just didn't have time to get it dyed up on all the bases. I'm sure that it will quickly be on the Sparkly bases because hello. And it will also probably make it to the alpaca bases at some point. Now, I don't know. Will that happen immediately or will that happen later in the year when actual Christmas rolls around? I haven't decided yet. So that's that one. Okay, now one of the recipes that I was playing with when I wasn't sure, that was my original recipe. When I wasn't sure if I liked it, I tried this one. This is essentially the same exact colorway, but without pink. So there's no pink in there. You've got your reds, your greens, and your blues. And then, of course, where the red and the blue come together, you've got that dark, deep, dark purple, just a hint of it. So, and by the way, if you're wanting to know what would go with these, so this, I didn't call it a one of a kind. This is neon at the North Pole because I actually kept my dye recipes. I know. So go big or go home. I really like with that, with both of these. I like Jingle Guts, goes nicely with that red. Hoppa, hoppa. And even Gnarly, more so with Santa's Acid Trip, with that pink in there, the pink and the purple, hubba hubba, if you're wanting something there. And then even with Santa's Acid Trip, Stargazer also, I think would look good. So if you're wanting a mini or something like that, or if you're wanting to plan a bigger project, those are the colors that really look good with it. So this, if you're not so fond of the pink, then Neon at the North Pole is for you. That one is on, what did I do that one on? Trusty Sock and Trusty DK. And then I wasn't sure that I liked either one of those initially because they were still, and I need to remember, like, you got to dye it, you got to let it dry. It never looks the same until it's fully dried. But in the process, I thought, what about a lighter version? All the same colors, but take the dye concentrates down a notch. And that is Rudolph's Rainbow. So you can see this is the exact same colors as Santa's Acid Trip, but it's just a tiny bit lighter. It's actually lighter than what it's coming across in on my screen, but that's Rudolph's Rainbow. And that one is on Trusty Sock and Silky Sock. So again, they're not technically one of a kinds, but I don't currently intend to put those across other bases, but you never know what the future holds. Because like I said, I did keep the dye recipe. Yes, thank you, Diane. I agree. Socks for sure. Yep. Acid Santa. I like that. Very good. Are they really neon or just very bright? Well, it depends on how they don't glow. Now, I thought it was funny. Some of these colors will actually glow under a black light, just so you know. Caitlin with String Theory was telling me about that. And she even carries a black light with her, apparently. I don't know if I should do that at shows or not. Some people might like to see that. But anyway, so, but it doesn't, like, I noticed that the picture that I took, I think because of the bright contrast, it almost looks like the yarn glows. It doesn't glow. So, but they are bright. So yeah, there's no glowing going on, but they are bright. So I hope that answers your question. So, and that was pretty much my intent, was just to have, I like my bright colors. Let's see. Yeah, someone did just wake up the executive producer. All right, let's see. I keep missing comments. So yeah, it's definitely lighter in person. Bo is right. The Rudolph's Rainbow is much lighter. Or did you mean all of them, dear? Is it coming? It might be coming across super bright on screen. A couple of other things. I've basically restocked all the previous Christmas colors. So if you've been thinking about getting one, I did, for example, I put berry on the minis just because it goes so well with Christmas at the Cabin as a contrast color. So that's back on minis. And then I also I put Under the Mistletoe on Fluffy Sock. So if you are a Fluffy Sock fan with that alpaca silk and cashmere, there you go. And it looks good. And I also did, Velveteen is already on Fluffy Sock. I put Velveteen on Fluffy Lace for the first time. So it's in the shop. And then I also put it on Trusty DK. So it is in the shop. And then if you haven't seen it, this I can't keep in stock. This is velveteen on sparkly sock. Look at that. I got to tell you, these dark colors on sparkly sock and sparkly DK, it's just like, woo, it looks so good with that silver stellina coming out, popping out like these little teeny tiny diamonds all over the skein. It's just gorgeous. Oh, yeah. I think if I do a big sweater for Nani Swimo, I told y'all velveteen or jingle guts I'm going to do. And I think I'm going to do it on a sparkly base. I haven't picked the sweater yet, so I don't know what weight I'll use yet, but one of those. Definitely. All right. So where will we be? Okay. So tomorrow I'll be at She Sells Yarn. By the way, if you are local and you plan on being there, I am mainly bringing all the Christmas colorways, and if I have room for it, then I'll also bring any of the newer colorways that you might not have seen in person yet. But if there's something specific outside of the Christmas colorways that you want me to bring, just shoot me a message and I'll be happy to do that. And so that's tomorrow. So the shop will be closed during the day for that. And then in 2 short weeks, August 8th and 9th, that's Southern Comforts Fiber Festival in Charlotte, North Carolina. I already told y'all about all the crazy classes, the crazy amount of classes that they're having there. Awesome. All sorts of classes. And then, so check that out. I'll put the link in the show notes. And then also, I think just 2 weeks after that, we'll be in Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh Creative Arts Festival. I think it has a longer name than that, because this festival is really more about crafting. I mean, obviously knitters and crocheters, and they have classes focused on that, but they have all sorts of vendors for other crafts and classes for other classes as well. I saw everything from embroidering your knits was one of the cool classes. I saw, what did I see? Oh, they had one on amigurumi. I was like, ooh, I would like that, but first I got to learn how to crochet. Marbling fabric and then pin loom weaving. There was one on circular knitting machines. They even had one for yoga for crafters, which I thought, oh, that would be very cool. So they just have this broad spectrum with all the usual classes that, you know, there were certain specific knitting techniques like steeking and, you know, finishing techniques and all that good stuff. So, but this is, and the lady who runs it, Laura, she did tell me that this is just a big, like, crafting wide retreat that people come for the weekend and work on their stuff. And so it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited about that one. And then way off in November, we will be at the Alabama Fiber Festival. So I'm excited about that too. All right. I feel like I've forgotten something, but that's kind of, you know, every single week, right? So I've got a little bit more shipping to do. The Coordinating Cousins, Perfectamundo, Happy and Free. I was actually dyeing yarn this morning, y'all. I don't usually dye yarn on Fridays, but I did this morning. And so they've been dyed, and those will go out early next week. Billy says, I like bright. Very good. All right. Diane, Acid Santa is my pick of them all. Is that what I should have named it? Acid Santa? I'm glad. That was the one that I ended up going with, was Santa's Acid Trip. And that's the official Christmas colorway. But I did, like I said, I kept the other recipes. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something else with them. I mean, they're the same essentially, just in different, you know, quantities, because you have the same amount of yarn, but if you have less colors, then you have to mix up. Anyway. Hey, if you're coming out tomorrow, I'm excited to see you. And the rest of you, I hope y'all have a good weekend. Try to stay cool. And yeah, and if you need me for anything, you know, I'm just an email away. Carolyn@swancityyarns.com. I hope y'all have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. All right, yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.